it's me, Aishi here, back at Non-Academic, and today I'm interviewing two wonderful people. If you haven't guessed, they have a dog, and we allow them in the interview. Before I move on, I'll allow them to introduce themselves, one by one, okay? So who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
I am this beautiful woman's husband.
That's John.
That's my claim to fame.
And I'm Marge. And this is Charlie, our pooch.
So what kind of jobs do you guys have?
We have the best jobs in the world. We're retired.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good job.
We are.
So, for non-academic, if you had any information, what would you give us?
So my understanding is you'd like to know skills that have served us well in life beyond academic skills. So I would say for myself that I have good people skills and I have a lot of compassion, and for my career I was a school counselor. So I did have to use my academics to get my degree, but what made me a good counselor was compassion for my students and the ability to relate to them and help them when they needed help.
That's actually pretty good. Do you have anything to say?
So how did you get so good with people? What made you interested in people?
That's a good question.
I mean, if you were interested in jigsaw puzzles, then you'd be an engineer now, but something got you interested in people.
You know what? That just reminded me of a theme that we're doing in non-academic, where in interviews we have to ask questions that are so hard that people can barely answer them. And I think that would be one for her.
Why did I learn that that was a strong skill?
Not how did you learn it, but what caused you to be interested in and lead you that way?
I think that's a natural ability, but it was enhanced by the fact that I came from a family of 4 children and I had 2 older and 1 younger. So I was in the middle and I helped the older ones and the younger ones relate to one another. And I didn't like it when people argued, so I always tried to find peace. And we would try to find common ground, and we all got along pretty well.
That's actually a pretty good answer. Thanks for answering
Sure.
that. Now, you all guys know what question I'm about to ask. It's probably related to non-academic. If you had anything that non-academic would maybe want to improve, what could you say for that?
I don't really think I have an answer because this YouTube channel is very new to me. So I don't have a way to offer improvement.
What is the question?
I think that's what you're asking?
What kind of improved information that we could use, maybe? What kind of information can we improve on? Like the information that we just gave you right now, what do you think we can improve on that? Not like the whole YouTube channel, because this is new to you. So the information that non-academic skills that are out of school, what can you say we can improve on that? What other things can we
don't
add?
understand your question.
Hello there, everyone.
Are you
okay if I join you? Where did you come from? Yes,
Yeah, I don't think I understood the exact point of her question.
That's fine. My words always come out very
No,
simple.
that's not at all. I just
Would you
don't
want to try
know
that?
what you're getting at.
How about my beautiful older sister can explain that better,
Yep.
because she's way smarter than me. Thanks, Aishi. But the thing is that here in non-academic, I know you two are new to this concept since we recently just introduced it to both of you, but basically what non-academic is, it's like a spin-off of academics, because what you learn in academics, you're not really going to really need in real life. I mean, when's the last time you used calculus? Let's be real here. I've never actually used calculus. You haven't learned it yet, but I don't think you've ever actually had to use calculus or like algebra too much in your life. But something that we here at non-academic believe we really need is good public speaking skills. You need to be able to know how to talk with one another, like how you said before, how to how to be like sympathetic to other people, and you need to know good writing skills and all of the things, paradox. Yeah, of course. Do you have something?
So it's interesting. You're talking about learning and intelligence, essentially. You're talking about skills. And intelligence is really defined by the ability to adapt to certain situations. So somebody in one environment may be considered very intelligent if it involves reading and writing and composing music and stuff like that. And yet somebody who's going to be out in the woods by himself that has to survive is going to be intelligent, and he knows things about science and can figure out survival skills and how to grow food and how to hunt and stuff like that.
See, I told you, my sister couldn't explain it much better, because number two things, he had to ask you questions, and the dog was literally staring at you while you were talking. Well, how better can she explain it than me?
So, I mean, non-academic skills are things that you don't learn in school, but there's still forms of natural intelligence that still have to be developed and honed.
That's another reason why you can explain it better than me.
I completely agree with you, and this is what we call a non-academic the pedigree gaps. Because if someone grew up in an entrepreneurial environment, they learn certain things, but if you grew up in a normal household, you learn different stuff. So this is the reason non-academic exists. It's to bridge that gap and make it closer so that everyone can have equal amount of skill, so they can each have an equal amount of chance of doing something they would want to, because both sides, both of them might want to go down the same path, but one just has better luck, better chances than the other because they grew up with that type of environment, and we want to make that type of environment available to everyone.
How old are you?
I'm 14.
Give me a break.
Oh,
These kids are geniuses. I love it.
Weren't you?
You must have a smart mother.
Oh, well,
yeah,
probably
I
have
would
a
say
smart
so.
Hi, Dad.
Well, yeah.
So, one thing that we discussed a little bit before we got started was my husband's career. And while he did go to college and did very well and also started in education as a school psychologist, he loves people and he loves art. And he combined those skills by becoming a professional photographer. And he did a really great job and had a wonderful career doing that.
There you go.
Yeah, because he relates well to people of all ages and all abilities and all walks of life. And he has an artist's eye. So he did wonderful portraits for people for many, many years.
You guys actually got me thinking off into the distance, thinking my mind off.
See, this is what I'm saying. Non-academic skills are available everywhere, and if you have certain ones, you can go down different careers that you would like to go down.
Yes, yes.
And this brings me to my next question for both of you, actually, if both of you could try answering. It's that I gave you a couple examples of the non-academic skills. Public speaking, good writing skills, knowing about paradoxes, lesser known professions. There's a ton of professions out there that we don't know about. I mean, have you ever heard of like a court analytic?
A court analytic? Not that I've heard that before, actually.
I know, they're kind of weird. So do you think that there's anything that you've experienced within your lifetime that we could possibly add to non-academic so that it makes that pedigree gap that I talked about earlier a little bit smaller?
It makes which gap?
Pedigree gap.
Pedigree gap. And do you have an answer for that, Johnny?
No, that's a question I was looking for right there.
It's a little toughy.
Just think and see what kind of answer.
You know, I'm not going to talk about areas. I'm going to talk about a process. I think everybody that goes to school should learn how to build a house or fix a car engine or raise a dog, because it involves a process. And if you don't use the correct facts and you don't construct your theory or your hypothesis in the right way, the house is going to fall down. The dog's going to bite you. Things are not going to work. I think the problem with academia is that too many people learn things as concepts and don't have to really test them out. They don't have to really test the reality of them. So I'm talking about process orientation. And you can learn process anywhere, whether it's at a university or whether it's in your home or on a job. It's sort of a scientific way of living, right? You observe, you identify a problem, you develop a hypothesis of how to solve it, and then you do a step-by-step process of testing.
Actually, what you just described there relates directly right into our perspective building workshop.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's.
Am I going to get paid for this? I mean, really?
If you want to, sure.
What's so funny?
You're quite the jokester.
Look at Charlie.
He's a little
What do you think, Charlie? It's a dog's life. He's the smartest one in the whole group. You know, Mark Twain wrote a short story about, I'm trying to think what happened. He said, it was about a dog. And this person started observed that these dogs were, I'm just trying to think what
I don't
happened.
recall.
Oh, so this just twist came and we talk about non-academic dogs? What just happened here?
I can't remember. I can't remember the theme of it. It was from so many years ago. But essentially, oh, that's right. It was a guy that developed a machine that would just point at somebody and would say what his IQ was. And so he pointed at you and it was 135, and it was you and it was 135 and a half. And he pointed over here and it was like 99.7. And then he said, this is pretty interesting, it's right on. And then he pointed to the dog and it was 180. And he said, well, this must be wrong. I mean, how can the dog be how can the dog be smarter? And then he tested it, pointed at another dog and it was 175. And finally the dog came up and says, look, Henry, I'm sorry, but I gotta tell you, we dogs are really a lot smarter than humans.
Oh, first of all, how can a dog talk?
That's the fun part.
Well, they just don't let you know that they can talk. That's how smart they are. And the dog said, yeah, we've learned through the years that, you know, we can get everybody to do everything that what we need them to do. They walk us, they pick up our poop, they feed us whenever they need to. You know, we got the life of Riley, and it's the life of a dog. And so Henry's thinking, oh, this is amazing. I've made such a discovery that dogs are so smart, and he couldn't wait to introduce his dog to, you know, the life of science. But he came back and he found out that all the rest of the dogs in the world found out that this dog had let out the secret so that they took care of the dog. He wasn't around anymore.
Uh-oh.
I see. That's a quite interesting story.
It wasn't my story, it was Mark Twain.
Ah, well, you know, stories are best told when they're shared by others.
Especially people like you.
Otherwise, it's not a story, right?
Yeah. Well, moving back onto
this topic, right?
Yeah, let's just we kind of zoned out of there for a second. It was quite interesting, but when I was saying before how you talked about having a process and saying that you need to find a problem, come up with a solution, and go step by step with it.
Yep.
That's exactly the perspective building workshop.
Yeah, exactly. The perspective building workshop has actually been designed within non-academic, where you go into your surroundings and you find a problem. Like a recent problem that I just found was that when you read works that are translated from different languages, so much is lost within translation. And the original meaning of the poem, of the story, of whatever, is not there anymore because most of it was lost within translation. So I came up with a solution that there should be an online service where you can run these stories, poems through, and it can tell you everything that might have possibly been lost within translation and what it has to do with the original piece.
And recently I found a problem too, and it's like about you guys that I was there reading a book and I love dogs, but I had no idea you were there until the librarian actually had to come and tell me. And then I noticed, oh my God, there's a dog here. I should go do it. So how about there can be this app where actually you could scan the whole entire library and it can tell you what things you like are, or like people are here and you might want to go visit them.
Very
That could be another
interesting.
one.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the different types of perspective building workshop videos that we make. And I think up until now we have over 100 of all of these different ideas. So maybe this is something that you were talking about or similar on that same path.
Problem is, a lot of people will be depending on artificial intelligence and won't have to go through the scientific process of learning.
Actually, artificial intelligence can do a lot, in my opinion, but I feel like one thing it can never replace is actual human thought process and finding problems and granting solutions to them, because it's not something AI is seeing in their everyday life.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying some people are going to depend on it to do the thinking for them. And they won't be able to determine the nuances in translation, or at least artificial intelligence will, but people will.
Definitely. I definitely agree with you on that part.
I think you agree with me on everything.
Doesn't it just feel like we're just talking, not doing an interview?
Yes, yes.
Well,
it
we
does.
basically are, aren't we?
It's very
Yeah, but it feels like we're just normally talking here.
Yeah. Anyway, I just have one last question for the both of you.
okay.
So, you got to know a little bit more about non-academics. I've got to know some more skills that you think we should be adding to non-academics, some new processes that could happen, not just within non-academic, but in other places. But moving way off that, if you've had I'm sure you've had a wonderful life. You've experienced a lot more than me and my sister have. So is there any piece of advice you would give people my age, my sister's age, or any of the people watching?
Make it easy for me.
You're talking about learning or life in general?
Just anything that you think is important.
Sure.
And maybe we can add in a non-academic and we could improve on that. And you guys will be famous in non-academic.
You want me to talk, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really I do have one thing that I would say, because when you get to be our age, your health is a great concern to you, because you want to enjoy your family and be around for a lot longer. So one of the things that I've learned is that it's easier for me to keep myself active by doing things that I really love to do. And primarily I like to do things out of doors. So getting this little guy has actually been beneficial for me personally, because I have a focus and a reason to get outdoors every day and take this guy for a walk and get some exercise and fresh air and really appreciate the world around me. And so I think that's a real valuable part of my life, and I thought it might be fun to share with your viewers.
Do you have anything to add?
I always wanted her to take me for a walk. Yeah.
So John comes with.
Like I said.
Go ahead, sweetie.
I'm going to be as smart as a dog. Yeah, the most important thing I feel is expectations. That both Marge and I went through life, and we've known each other since we were in 4th grade.
Oh, whoa.
I fell in love with her when we were 9 years old. She walked through the door of my class. I went, oh my God. I want to have children with this girl.
John.
But I don't know how that happens. So, so many times kids get to be really old, and they don't realize that they've been living their life according to other people's expectations, whether it's parents or peers or what the media thinks of them. And it doesn't only have to do with what the concept of beauty is, or what the concept of wealth is, or learning, or anything like that. I've talked with people and gotten to know a lot of people in my life. You know, Marge told you I was eventually became a photographer. And my skill was not just with the camera, but was photographing people from the inside out. And the most beautiful type of portrait I could take was when a person was natural, comfortable with himself and herself, and expressing who they were. And when you decide what you want to do in life, you need to look and say, what is going to make me happy? What is going to be meaningful to me? Not, I've got to be a lawyer, I've got to be a doctor, I've got to be a professor. Those were things that were expressed to me by my parents, who were immigrants to this country. And they were bringing me up the best way they could, but they thought I had to do one of those things in order to be successful, or I wouldn't be happy. I was smart enough to eventually have an opportunity to go to law school, get my PhD, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I got a couple degrees, undergraduate and master's, and said, I'm going to be a photographer. I'm an entrepreneur. And at first my parents said, what, you're crazy, how can you do that? And after a short period of time, they were so happy and so proud because I was flourishing, doing what I loved. You need to do what you love, but you need to do it well. You need to do it so you can support yourself financially, so you can take care of yourself physically, socially, emotionally, take care of your community. And that's leading a very rich life in all ways.
Well, there you have it, everyone. You got life advice from two new people.
I was ready to clap about that.
And we got some from you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, John, Marge, and of course Charlie, for joining us here today. We really, both of us actually, really enjoyed having you all here today. And thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Bye!